So Meghan seems to have returned fire by issuing a blunt response after Spotify cancelled her podcast. But response is that, hang on a second, we shall come to that. But that story is trending right now. My. Executives at Ashwell apparently had met with Spotify in recent weeks to try and agree a second series. However, Spotify has told Ashwell that no, we won't have another series running. So that deal of their Ashwell podcasts running on Spotify have stopped on the first series, and we won't see a second series coming. Now, that was followed by a statement that was issued through Ashwell Foundation again, and their spokesperson said this, that Spotify and Ashwell Audio have mutually agreed to part ways and are proud of the series we made together. That was the statement earlier on after the news came out that the podcast series for Meghan had been cancelled. But as if that wasn't enough, Meghan comes in to issue her statement, a statement that the Daily Express has called a blunt statement. What does that say? Let's have a look at it. So the statement goes, the team behind Archetypes remain proud of the podcast they created at Spotify. Meghan is continuing to develop more content for the Archetypes audience on another platform. That is the statement, and you could say it is a blunt statement because the timing the timing of that statement, it is as though Meghan is telling Spotify that you haven't believed in my Archetypes podcast, but I have an audience somewhere else that believes in me, that believes in my series. And I'm going to carry on producing those podcasts on that platform for them to listen to. That story, of course, is trending right now. What is going on? Royal commentators, journalists, newspapers have issued their own insight into what could have gone wrong. Why did this partnership collapse? Of course, Meghan and Harry had signed this $20 million partnership back in 2020, and they were going to be, of course, interviewing celebrities, personnel that have achieved really high in their careers in a way of inspiring others, Black women, and to try and get those messages out there. But after the first series, allegedly, we won't be seeing a second series. Now, many are saying that, of course, the stakes were very high. The expectations for Spotify were up there for Meghan and Harry. And that Meghan and Harry and their Archetypes podcasts have failed to hit the threshold. There is a lot of money that goes into producing these podcasts. There are so many people working behind the scenes, and that revenue needed to be coming in bigger amounts to be able to sustain these series. Okay, so there is a saying allegedly that maybe there wasn't enough ad revenues because people were non-subscribing, others were unsubscribing because the podcasts were not interesting, allegedly. For example, royal commentator Lindsay Schofield said that Meghan made these podcasts all about her. So she was interviewing so many celebrities, of course. Serena Williams was one of those, Mariah Carey, and that she was always talking over them. She wasn't asking them the right questions. She turned the whole conversations away from her guests onto herself. So she was praising herself, something that got very boring, and people started signing off. So this led to deterioration in incomes, in revenues coming in terms of adverts, because these podcasts were not really picking up as expected by Spotify. And of course, if you pay someone $20 million US, you expect something of a certain magnitude. Now, allegedly, Meghan and Harry could have to return 10 million US dollars because they were paid 20 million US dollars, a huge chunk, but they haven't lived up to those standards. But we are still following up on that story, allegedly. Oh my God, what are your thoughts, my dear friends? What do you think could have led to this partnership collapsing? Now, of course, Meghan, I mean, these are thoughts again from commentators and some of these newspaper articles we are reading around, in which they have been saying that these podcasts were not well managed, they were not well researched, okay? Meghan's info was half-baked, and therefore she could not sustain a conversation that was going to be as interesting, okay? And because of that, of course, they fell short. And has Spotify read into that and said, right, hang on, we can't carry on like this, or this is not what we expected? Okay, again, these are views coming out with regards to why this podcast might have broken down or crumbled in a way it has. But what are your thoughts, guys? Share them in the comments section below. And what does this mean for Meghan and Harry going forward? Now, initially, this podcast series was supposed to be worked on by Harry and Meghan, but it so turns out that Meghan started running the series single-handedly. So somewhere, somehow, Harry was kicked away or kicked off. And would it have been different if Harry was actively involved in these podcasts? That is one question many people are raising. But this deal was part of the bigger, fundraising mega deals that Meghan and Harry had taken on recently, 20 million US dollars. And them losing this one means that they are now going to be having to hold on to the Netflix deal that they have. I think we are told the Netflix deal is around 80 to 100 million US dollars. So that is the deal they have to hold on to produce those Netflix documentaries. They have released six part documentary already, and they seem to have run out. The pressure is so high on them to perform, and the expectations of Netflix, of course, we know are also very high. And the platform itself, I'm talking about Netflix, seems to be struggling with so many people unsubscribing. They are losing revenues. The times are not perfect. And Meghan and Harry could also risk losing a deal with Netflix. So where does that leave them after they have lost this 20 million US dollars deal with Spotify? Okay. People are now talking of Meghan Markle going back to her influencing career. She used to run that blog, Tig, writing about food, fashion. Could we see her maybe go back to that and try and push harder? And of course, many people are saying that that is where Meghan Markle is good. She is not good to do with podcasts. All these things, projects she has been taking on are projects that she hasn't been good at. So could we see Meghan fall back to her TIG project? Again, we are keeping our eyes widely open. Now, in this statement, of course, issued by Meghan, we did not hear any mention of Prince Harry. So the statement, of course, read that Meghan will continue developing more content for Archetype's audience on another platform. No mention of Prince Harry. So what does that mean again? Does it mean Prince Harry has since stopped taking on projects with Meghan Markle? They are now going their own separate ways, looking for their own businesses. Where is Prince Harry in this? Because she would be telling us, me and Harry are going to be doing da-da-da, but no mention of Harry here. So those are the questions being raised. But what do you think about this whole thing falling apart. And Meghan Markle's response, blunt response, that she is going to be producing her podcasts, but on another platform. Leave them in the comment section below, and of course come back here at Francis Page Media, where you will always catch the latest that is going on in the world of our British royals.